All right, everyone, we are going to get started. Thank you for coming to our first housing series, the basics of fair housing and tenant rights and security deposits. And again, it is being presented by myself, Amanda Ahrens, the Fair Housing Officer for the City of Albany. And then I have here with me Ashley Hilaire, the Housing Services Advocate. Welcome for coming. Thanks for coming. So we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, can everybody see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So again, I'm the Fair Housing Officer for the City of Albany. I run the Fair Housing Office here. I am so excited to give you the basics of fair housing so you guys can get a good overview of why it's important for you to have this knowledge, especially for landlords, tenants, homeowners, and real estate agents, just so we can know what duties some people have and what rights other people have under fair housing law. I do want to do a disclaimer. None of this is legal advice. And if you do have any questions, please hold off to the end and we will provide you with space to ask those questions. Again, so to start off, the fair housing refers to the federal, state, and local laws that protect certain people from being treated unequally in housing-related activities. Also known as housing discrimination when that unequal treatment happens. So it first started with the Fair Housing Act at a federal level in 1964, and it was amended in 1968 to have the fair housing protections that we do now. And then New York State actually has some of the strongest fair housing protections in the country, starting off with the human rights law in Article 15 of the New York State Consolidated Laws. And then there's additional protections that help domestic violence victims break their lease early, as well as people 55 plus in case they have health issues as well. They need to leave their housing a little sooner than when their year lease is up. And then Albany County has their own human rights law, and then the City of Albany here has the omnibus human rights law that covers protections just for the City of Albany. And that is what the Fair Housing Office for the City of Albany governs. So now that we have a little basics of what the laws are for protections, who does fair housing laws apply to? So landlords, housing staff, leasing agents, management companies, real estate agents, brokers, home insurance providers, and mortgage lenders all have to comply with fair housing laws. And those housing related activities that we talked about that are covered is the sale and rental of any kind of housing, like if you go get an apartment, the financing of a home when you go to a finance officer, brokerage and appraisal services, developers, insurance for when you get home or rental, and then municipal services such as trash, service, electrical, and water. A good way to put this in context, if you go to apply for a unit within a complex, the people that have to comply with fair housing laws starts with the owner. It also includes any leasing agents or whoever is managing any leases like that. Any maintenance staff or anybody they hire also has to comply with fair housing law. So what type of house is covered? In New York State, it's all type of housing, including apartments, assisted living, transitional housing, and homeless shelters used as residence. There are a few exceptions, starting off with owner-occupied single and two-family buildings, as well as rooming rentals for same-sex individuals. The other one is religious organizations, or member-only clubs, such as housing exclusive for 55 plus years of age. I do want to note everyone must comply with the fair housing advertising requirements, and race and color always apply. So now that we have a little context of what the laws are, we're going to go back to the definition again of the unequal treatment for certain groups of people. This is a certain groups of people that are covered, and a lot of people fit into this. So any unequal treatment based off of one of these protected classes would be the discrimination. There is disability, whether it's physical or mental, your race, your skin color, your sex, which includes people who are pregnant or, sexual orientation, gender identity, any of that stuff, as well as national origin, religion, and familial status, which covers children under the age of 18. That could be a grandparent who adopts their grandchild. Any of that would be covered. And then New York State and the city of Albany have additional protections that the Fair Housing Act doesn't cover, such as age, immigration, and citizenship status, lawful source of income. That could be Section 8, or if you have alimony or child support, VA benefits, all of that counts as income, and it should be included just like you were getting a paycheck. Then you have marital or domestic partner status is covered, as well as your military status, whether you are discharged honorably, you're a veteran, or you're still active duty. So what are some of these housing violations that can occur? That would be to refuse or discourage somebody to get a house, such as steering them to other buildings, or not taking their application based off of whatever protected class they're being discriminated against. They're also not allowed to set different terms or conditions, such as requiring invasive background checks that you do not require of other people buying homes or applying for housing. You should not be lying about the availability of housing, such as showing units to some people, but then telling someone else that the unit is taken once you find out they have a certain disability that wouldn't be accommodated in that apartment. As well as using different qualification standards, such as charging higher rents for tenants with children because they might make more of a mess or they might be louder. Denying reasonable accommodations, such as not allowing a tenant to move in with an emotional support animal or charging them a fee for having the emotional support animal in the house. Some of those prohibited actions that would be considered fair housing violations when it comes to mortgage and lending, and just some additional ones, would be refusing to provide financial assistance or information to people looking for a mortgage, such as denying a mortgage application for the type of income that they had, like if they were on maternity leave or something like that. Setting different terms and conditions on a loan, requiring invasive background checks, again, that you're not requiring of other people applying for a mortgage. Setting unfair conditions to receive a loan, such as requiring that they get flood insurance in an area that is not required to have flood insurance, and you're not making that other homeowners get that as well. Retaliation against a person who has made a fair housing claim, that is not allowed, and it would look like evicting or denying services based on that fair housing violation being filed. The last one that I have here is advertising in discriminatory manner, like we had talked about. It would be like a Craigslist that you see, and the advertisement indicates like a certain preference. So that was kind of just the gist of fair housing really quick, of what your rights are. And then me as a fair housing officer, what do? I receive the fair housing claims and I do an investigative work. That would be calling people, getting witnesses, and kind of proving or disproving any claim that comes to my office. And with that, if it is possible, we try to do conciliation. I try to facilitate that, and that would be trying to get both parties to come to an agreement. As you can see, I also do education to the public to make sure everybody is aware of what their rights are and what their duties are as well. And I think that's super important. And the city is really making sure that we make that service available to everybody, so they know they can come and they have a resource no matter which side you're on. And then I also do outreach again to make sure everybody is aware that I'm here. And then I also try to recommend human rights policy as well. So you can file a claim with me by either email, phone, relay, or interpretation service. You can come in person and file a claim. You're more than welcome to stop at my office. There's also complaint forms that are found on our website as well under the fair housing page. We do have a fair housing page on our website. So once I get that discrimination claim, what I'll do is I will call you and we will schedule an intake so I can get all the information. I can let you know about what the process is going to be, and I'll get any documents that may be needed as evidence. I'll then go ahead and do some research. It may take like 2 weeks to do the research, make sure you're within my jurisdiction and I can help you. The discriminatory matter is covered under fair housing law. If all of that lines up and you're covered, I'll go ahead with that investigation process that I had talked about. And during the investigation process, we can do the conciliation at any point to try to remedy the fair housing violation that had occurred. At any time, you are more than welcome to also file with New York State Human Rights. Maybe they might be able to help you a little better, or you want a dual file. That is completely within your right. And if any time you feel uncomfortable or you want to retract your fair housing claim, you are more than welcome to do that with a withdrawal of the claim. All right, so now that we have a little bit of knowledge and background information, I thought it might be fun to do a spot the fair housing violations. So I have 6 of them up here, only 3 of them are fair housing violations. So we'll go through them and then we'll get the answers next. Landlord evicts Carmela, a 30-year-old tenant with 3 children for non-payment of rent. Mark, who is going on military deployment, is penalized for breaking the rental lease early. Number 3, a second floor unit is suddenly unavailable when the management company learns that the tenant has 2 young children. Number 4, the loan officer denies to approve a home loan for Fred and Frank because their debt to income ratio is too high. Number 5, Victoria, a victim of domestic violence, is evicted by the landlord due to an increased police presence at her unit. And finally, number 6, Steve is told by the landlord that he must get rid of his childhood dog before moving into the apartment unit due to a strict no pet policy. Do you guys have any indication of what you think it might be?
Sure.
All right, let's find out. All
Yeah,
right.
that's enough.
Yep.
Yeah. What you had? Which one you guys?
Saying 2 and 6, and then I wasn't sure.
No, I was saying 2, 3, and that 5.
5?
Yeah, you got it. Yep. 2 is because that would be discrimination against
Exactly.
military deployment. They are allowed to break their lease at any time if they have papers. And number 3, the landlord or management company finds out there's 2 young children. So all of a sudden it's not available. Exactly. It might make too much noise, right? And number 5, the domestic violence. Yeah. Normally, increased police presence is something that people can get evicted for, but when domestic violence is involved, they are protected. All right, and I just want to let you know that these are all the places that you can file a fair housing claim with. Again, you can dual file, you can reach out to any of these. You have the Attorney General's office, New York State Division of Human Rights, and HUD, and as well as my office. All right, should we?
Anyone have questions?
Do you guys have any questions for us?
Yeah, I do, because right now I'm going through a little situation. Where I live at, I've been there 20 years.
Mhm.
My landlord entered my apartment twice, and I was not aware of it.
Mhm.
And I text him because he don't talk on the phone. It's text, text, text. I text him, I said, you must the law, you're supposed to let me know. You don't come into my apartment and don't say anything. He said, well, I had to come and do some work. I said, what work? I didn't like that and how I knew he'd been there because I don't never put double locks on my door if I'm in this Albany, only when I'm going out of town. And then he shuts off all my lights. But then I come to find out he's selling the house behind my back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's yeah, you definitely should not be going into the household unless he gives you that 24-hour
Yeah.
notice. So
Are we gonna be talking, I'm gonna
She's
be
gonna-
talking more about your housing rights. Because technically that falls under your housing rights versus the fair housing stuff. But still it's not, it's against the law to be doing.
Yeah.
does anybody online have any questions about fair housing?
Oh, yes, I have one. My name is Ricardo Glory from Haddis.
Hi.
When the complaints do come in, and it's already been submitted, your office receives it, you're evaluating it. As you get down to the bottom of the complaint, who issues the final determination if any wrongdoing was committed?
So as the fair housing officer, I determine probable cause.
And then
So
from there
that
on,
would be
you would
making a
escalate it?
determination.
Do you
Yep, and then
escalate
it
it
would,
or you make the determination?
I make the determination and then I talk to corporation counsel about what our next steps would be.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But I believe any one of these other departments, they will also take it on. So I know we had a presentation before where the New York State Division of Human Rights were here from the Bronx, and they did mention that they will continue on that process too. If the complaint was duly filed.
My concern is, I'm wondering if he sells the house, can I get evicted?
If you have a lease that's in
I don't have a
place,
lease.
month
I
to
never,
month,
yeah.
he would still have to go through the eviction process, but yeah, I think she'll get into that a little bit more. So let me hand it off to Ashley.
Yeah.
And she can go ahead and let you guys know what your tenant rights are.
Does anyone else have any questions for Amanda on Zoom?
Check the chat.
And we can always go back to it afterwards as well.
There's just one question in the chat about that slide where about how to file a housing discrimination complaint. Could we make that available as a PDF? Or is that already? Yep. Okay.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I can put that on our website as well.
I'm gonna stay right here.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi guys, can you guys see me now? Well, I don't know if you can see me now. But I'm Ashley, I'm your housing service advocate. I'm gonna talk to you more about your housing rights. And just the rights that you have the moment that you are paying the rent or paying the landlord for the first and security. Okay. So I know Amanda spoke about discrimination. I'm really going to be focused on your rights, and I think I tried my best to give you the best 10 rights, the most frequent rights that I think everyone usually encounters or really run into. So I'm just there's going to be 10, and there's going to be some additional stuff. Just because of just the most recent stuff that's been happening in Albany, I just wanted to speak on just renter insurance later on. Okay. Okay.
Three up there.
Yeah. So one, when you are paying and you're about to get your own apartment or about to get your apartment, you must remember that you have the right to have a safe and livable and sanitary home. That might look different for a lot of people, but it shouldn't be different at all. You should be able to walk into an apartment, view it, and it should look nice. It should look like it's somewhere that you want to go. Okay. If you want, I always say before you try to get into your apartment or the next apartment, always try to do as much research as you can. So research means, for example, now in the city of Albany, every unit should have a ROP, which is a residential occupancy permit. And what that permit is just stating that the landlord basically did their job and codes came in and they checked to make sure that it's a safe and livable home. Okay. If you don't know if your landlord has a ROP, you can definitely go onto our website, which is listed on the bottom, and you can see through a portal if your landlord has an ROP or not. Now, if you see that your landlord doesn't have a ROP, I will highly suggest that's a big red flag. Because you would hate to want to move into something that's not safe and livable. Okay. To keep both the landlord and the tenant safe, serious repairs and renovations must be done by a licensed professional, and they should have a city building permit. That also you can get here at the same location, 200 Henry Johnson, within the codes department, and it should just be licensed. Okay. I always say just please do your research as much as possible, okay? If you don't know how to do the research or you do need help with looking, you have difficulties as far as the website, you can always reach out to us as well. I don't mind me going through it with anyone that needs that help, okay? So you can definitely reach out to us as well. This is more of a little map. When you move into an apartment, these should be some of the things that you should be looking at. You should have some hot water. You should have screens on your window for any bugs. It says here from May 15th to September, due to the summer weather, but in reality, it should be all year. No exposed wiring, no leaky roofs, no holes in the wall. The other stuff, you should get your security deposit within 14 days. There's an active ROP. You're not being locked out of your apartment. These are just all signs as far as this is what you're paying for. You're literally paying for it to have a livable and suitable home. Okay. I'll change this. 2, you have every right to make a housing complaint. Okay. You have I'm gonna say that again. You have every right to make a housing complaint. You have the right to bring it up to your property manager, landlord, or maintenance team. You just have that right. You can do that without any retaliation. Retaliation could look different for a lot of people, but I think the main ones is the harassment, the intimidation, or the threats. And that's verbal, physical, social media, through text, through apps. Okay. If they're harassing you or being intimidating, like that's a major red flag. Filing an eviction against you without a valid reason, refusing to renew your lease without a valid reason, and extreme rent increase or attempting to change your additional fees. If you're experiencing any of this, I highly suggest you contacting me or Amanda, or if it's not us, United Tenants and Legal Aid, because retaliation is important. Like, it's important. You should not be retaliated at all for making a housing complaint. Okay.
So you're saying that if you do sell the house, the new landlord he can raise the rent?
It depends. Yes. It could be
Is
a
it
possibility.
20%, 10%?
No,
Or he go whatever he want to go.
if the new landlords want to change the lease and create a new one, they do have that. They have the authority
I don't
to do
even
that,
have a lease.
which is probably, this is something I would tell you to highly talk to your landlord right now to see if they can at least provide some type of lease, because the lease is what secures you at the end of the day. If you don't have a lease, technically you on a month to month, and what usually month to month means is that any party can decide what if they want to stay there or not. So that means you can get up and go, and without any you don't have to inform him or say any document, him or her, or they can also terminate you. So
is it true that if I'm told I have to move, they have to pay me out? Is that true or no?
As far as legally, I don't know, but I can get that information for you.
Yeah.
Exactly. I can definitely get that information for you. But of course, if going back to this right now, if you are harassment, anything, I highly suggest to also calling the police. Even though I know it might take a long time for the police to get there, you still want the police to come and you want an incident report number. You at least want the number stating.
What I did, every conversation me and him had,
You kept it?
I screenshot.
Good,
It's on my
good.
phone.
Good. That's the, I think that's my next slide.
Yeah,
Um, as far as we just learned with Amanda discrimination, so again, you should be living free from any type of discrimination as far as your race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, your source of income. Of course, I'm always going to tell you to go back to our fair housing website that lists all the discrimination stuff. But it's illegal for a landlord to treat you differently. Okay. 3, well, this is 4 now. 4 is like another one I would say star on your paper, because 4 is renters cannot be required to give up their rights when they sign a lease. If I'm gonna stress anything, is gonna be this. You should be reading that lease back and forth 2, 3 times. You can ask a friend, you can ask a family member, you can ask any one of us, you can reach out to legal hand, legal aid, but you should be reading that lease front and back before you sign it. And why I say that is because that lease is what it bounds your
Right,
year there.
yeah.
So, and not only that, in the lease, you can see all this statements like this: landlord has the right to enter the unit at any time for any reason. The property is being rented as is. Like, these are definitely red flags that you should see. If you see in a lease,
right.
it's just gonna tell you how bad possibly that apartment might just be. Okay. So always be lookout. If you see something too besides this, let's say like the pest control, like the utilities, like you have every right at this point in time to ask the landlord any question that you have about this lease. So do not sign a lease if you do not feel comfortable with it. I don't know how much I can stress that, because once you sign a lease, you are agreeing to everything that is on that paper, okay? And it's going to be a little bit more difficult later on down the road if you have to, either bring your landlord to court or not, or just, it could be a lot of, it's a struggle. Again, if you have questions on the lease or any of that, please reach out. Please just extend it to family and friends, okay? And just make sure you read it. I know sometimes we might be in a rush. I know sometimes some people just have to move. They have to move into the next apartment, but still try as much as you can to still read that lease before you sign it. 5 is one that I think everyone knows, which is renters may have the right to withhold rent in certain situations. Now, the thing about withholding your rent, right? If you are going to withhold it, you have to document that. You have to document as to why you are holding your rent. Another suggestion that I would give to anyone is, if you are going to pay, let's say if you having some code violations in the house, the landlord's not paying attention to anything, and now you feel like it's time, like they're worrying about the money at that point in time, you can put this in an escrow account. In the escrow account, you can open at any bank account. If you already have a bank account, it's just an additional account that the money is going into, okay? Technically, the money you paying your rent will be going into that account versus giving it off to the landlord,
Right,
okay? This is also another way to document your rent, and at the same time, it is putting it into another account. So in reality, you're not touching it. It's there. The number one, I would say the number one concern I always run into when speaking with someone in their rent, withholding their rent, is 9 times out of 10, they had to use it. They had to spend it for something. And I always just encourage people to just put it in a different account. You don't have to touch it. It's in there and it's secure. Because if you do hold the money and then now let's say you in court and now you have to produce that money, the landlord at that point in time can evict you because of a non-payment. So just try not to. This is just another secure way on how to just put that money somewhere else without touching it. If you are in court, depending on how bad the situation can be, you do have the right, if you do go to court, to reduce your rent because of the situation. You can request that as well.
So, cause right now,
Mhm.
he had somebody to come to put on my porch, just to put a rail up.
Right.
I have termite
Okay.
eating the porch up,
Wow. Okay.
and he didn't service it at all.
you know, I know you attended this one, but as far as the code violations and just termites, I
Yeah.
would love for you to come back to our second one, because the second one, our second workshop, which will be in what's today? Oh, July. We'll have a code inspector with us, so you can definitely ask him those questions as far as just the bugs. The bugs is serious though. On another tip, of course, we always gonna suggest that you are contacting legal aid as far, because at this point in time it just might seem like you might need a lawyer to represent you in court if you are going to court as far as like the concerns in your home. Okay, you can always contact me on Amanda as well. I'm always gonna refer you to legal aid. Because legal aid will do that representation. There's different legal resources out there, which you guys have in your packets. And I also you guys online also would get all the stuff that we have. But Legal Hand is another free service for anyone. You can text, call, live chat, and that is 24/7, I believe, and it's for Albany County and Schenectady County. So that information I am gonna post it so you guys can have, but definitely use that. They're not lawyers, but they can definitely give you the advice that you need as far as what to do next and how to do things. They also can fill out court paperwork. Okay. 6, landlords must provide you a notice if they will not renew a lease or if they're gonna raise your rent. Okay. A landlord cannot raise your rent in an active lease. So technically, because you're on a month-to-month situation, they can. If you are not on a month-to-month and you're on a year lease, they cannot raise your rent during that current lease. When they could raise the rent is when you are signing for the new one. But again, they have to give you notification. There's a timeline as to when they can give you that notification. Okay. If you've been there for a year, it's a 30-day notice. If you've been there 1 to 2 years, it's a 60-day notice. If it's 2 or more, it's a 90-day notice. Okay. But you have to get a written notice, even if they terminate you, if they don't want you to
But I don't even
renew.
have a, that's the
Right.
thing.
So usually when there's no lease, it's called a month-to-month, and
They can do it.
they can do that at that point in time.
That is.
It's okay. Don't worry, I can help you. I can help you with that.
But you're gonna have 90 days.
You have 90 days. How long have you been there?
20 years.
20 years. Yes, you got more than 90 days. You got 180, bro.
Every receipt that I moved in there in 2004.
Well, that's good.
And I still have all those receipts.
And save it.
I do. I
Yes.
said I might need them one day.
Yes.
And I'm glad I kept them.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I don't have to beg him to come pick up the rent.
And the specific information for month-to-month tenants is in that yellow or the.
Yes, you also have that
Okay.
information as well. 7, renters cannot evict without going to eviction court. Okay. If there's a difference between warning letters, you get a letter, hey, you owe, I'm just throwing a number, $25,000, and it's due by the 7th of July. That is a warning letter. But most of the time people see those warning letters and they automatically think it's an eviction note. And people start panicking at that point in time. What I do want to tell you is that they cannot legally evict you until you don't get a court document that's stating that you have to attend court, just anything that looks like a court document, then technically it's not an eviction. It's a warning. Okay. There's actions are some examples of illegal evictions, which is demanding the tenant to leave through text harassment or intimidation, changing the lock, shutting off the utilities, damaging the unit to the point that it's not safe, and barricading doors or windows. If your landlord is doing any of these things, please, I would say please contact Albany Police Department. Okay. After you make that phone call, definitely reach out to us as well, because your landlord should not be doing anything that's unsafe. They should not just be doing that. Okay. Again, if APD might not be able to do really much at that point in time, but again, the goal is to get that incident number. Okay.
Right.
God forbid if later
Document.
on, yes, later on, if it's really unsafe, which I think at this point, if you are experiencing any of this stuff, it is unsafe. You should definitely get your number. Okay. Number 8. Hi. Security deposit. So your landlord must return your security deposit within 14 days. Again, another myth I would say is the security deposit is yours. That's technically still your money. They are just holding it until the end of your lease term. Okay. They if they have to use the security deposit, they have to tell you that in documentation. But regardless of what, you should get that in 14 days. It's not 30. There was a point in time that it was 30 days, but now it's 14. Okay. Even if they are giving you your security deposit, they still should be, you should be getting a document, a email, something should be talking about your security deposit. But please do understand that that is technically your money. Okay. Yes.
Question. Now, like I was telling you, right? I'm getting ready to move, right?
Right.
To over here on Clinton, right?
Okay.
So when I move out of my apartment, say I move next month, right?
Okay.
I'm not gonna pay the rent for my apartment there if I move in there.
Okay.
So don't they gotta give me my security back?
Technically, yes, they have to give it to you back. But the only time that a security deposit can be taken or used is if there's for back rent arrears, or if there's like there's damage done to the apartment.
Oh, and I don't have no back rent
Good.
arrears and my apartment is
Good.
not damaged. I'm just
Okay.
ready to get.
Okay. I mean, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna encourage you to not pay the rent, the last month rent. But some people do rely on the security deposit to pay the last month in order for them to move into the next one, because it could be difficult. But again, I will always say for you, if you are in that situation, you can always reach out to us. It can be that hopefully maybe a community provider might be looking for some like folks who for their first insecurity to put that stuff down for them. So it could be a possibility that someone else may be able to put that first insecurity down, and then your security deposit you can either keep or you can put it towards that back rent. But
No,
those are the only two reasons as to why your security deposit
I'm
can
gonna
be
need
taken.
security.
Yeah, well.
I need help with my security.
When you move out, the landlord is required to return your deposit to your last known address. So of course, just give them the update. I will talk more about the security deposit and just the last walkthrough in our next session. But again, I will always say if you are moving in, take pictures of how the apartment looks when you first moved in, and then take pictures when you leave. Okay?
Isn't it true that your security deposit, they supposed to put it in the escrow account?
Yes. By New York State in your tenant book, it
Right.
does says that it's either can be put in like a trust fund. Yeah. Or if or it's gonna be in an escrow account. I think in that New York State book, it even talks about like possibly like if it gets interest on it, like a portion of it goes to the landlord, but majority of it goes to you. So it just depends. You can definitely ask about that too before you sign your lease. But yeah. What I do want to stress on this too is normal wear and tear. So normal wear and tear, for example, would be maybe there's paint coming off the wall, a little bit of paint coming off the wall, versus a hole in the wall, like a big hole in the wall. Obviously, I think dust or a little paint off the wall. Some landlords might take that as a reason to deduct from the security deposit, but technically, if you are there during the last final walkthrough, like you guys should be talking about that before you leave.
This man have never inspected my.
So we gonna have another conversation.
Yeah, I didn't never.
Okay. I'm gonna have to talk to you after this.
The rent.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to you
You
after
don't come
this.
pick up the rent, once that move out.
What's it?
Let me just
I was renting it from his father.
Wow.
And his father took and moved out of, he's in Virginia.
Right.
And now the son wants to go to Virginia. This is what this is all about.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
We talk after this though. I'm gonna definitely have to get your information. Again, if you feel like your landlord kept too much of your deposit and there's something wrong with it, you feel like it's not okay, please reach out to any one of us. Of course, legal aid and UTA. Why I keep saying legal aid is because it could be that it could lead that you might want to file a small claims court on your landlord, or it's the same way for landlords as well. Okay. 9, your landlord should not enter your apartment without telling you.
Hey,
Okay.
thank you.
The only reason why they should be coming into your apartment, if anything,
Yeah, it
is
to me twice.
if they're making repairs or they're making your apartment even more nice. Okay. If
Question
they
on-
are, yes.
Question on that one. Now, what you say about the landlords entering your apartment without permission, right? Now, I live in housing, right? They come to your apartment, even though you give them permission to enter, they still supposed to leave something that they was there. They don't leave nothing. So how I know you was in my house?
Right. Well, I mean, that's
Without,
something.
without a paper notice saying that we was here.
Did they at least notify you that they were coming in?
Nope,
They didn't have a note anywhere in the building?
nope.
We gonna talk after this.
When they, no. When they
But-
say, inspection is coming, you don't know if the inspection came because you're not there and they not leaving no note saying that they there. That they was there. They supposed to leave something stating that the pet control came, they was in your apartment.
Well,
A notice on the wall don't mean nothing.
it do mean something technically, because the
Right.
landlord can state that they did notify people and they put it in a centralized area.
They put it on the wall on the notice, but they still supposed to leave something saying that they was in your apartment,
Technically,
right?
by law, no, they don't. They don't have to notify you as far as them walking. It's a courtesy. You will want your landlord to do
Okay.
that. If he
Even-
does, if the landlord doesn't do that, I would say that's a red flag as well, because of course, if they should be giving you that note. They have to give you the proper notice when they going into the apartment.
Okay, now, when you call them, when you call what is it, Albany, emergency housing thing, right?
Mhm.
Say something is wrong with your apartment and you're not home, they don't tell you when they coming.
Well,
They don't say when they coming, and they don't still, when anytime somebody come to your apartment, they're supposed to leave their work order on the thing and say they entered your apartment to fix so and so and so and so. They don't even do that.
well,
See, when I lived in the city, they did that.
yes,
They let you know that they was there.
right. But
But-
but
They don't do nothing. They just come and do what they gotta do. And you don't know it's fixed until you call the next day. Did anybody come to my?
Yeah.
You know, come
that's
on.
why I will also too highly, and I know we shouldn't have to do this,
That's why I'm
but
moving out of
in
there.
reality, this is why I would say get a Ring camera, get something that can also document when somebody's coming in and out.
But I be out here, I be at work.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know when they come to expect. I don't know nothing because I'm at work.
What
And
I
I
do,
gotta ask people, did so and so come to the building to? I don't know. I'm not there. I work.
yes. I'm gonna talk to you more after this.
Yeah, it
You
sounds
know?
like you guys have a lot of housing issues that definitely need to be addressed. So we'll go ahead and do this and we can address those
Hey,
individually.
but you know what?
after. Yeah.
I'm moving out of there next month anyway.
Yes.
I gotta get, I'm moving out, I'm moving on.
Yes,
On on Clinton Ave, the new apartment.
yes. So,
303, I already got my apartment.
nice.
303 is my building, and I'll be the first tenant in there.
Good. Good.
303.
Okay now, hey now, all right, okay.
Yeah, I'll be the first tenant. Where
Let me
at?
just,
Clinton.
I'm just gonna
From,
ask if we could
Clinton
just hold
Apartments,
this so
on
I
the
can just
second
finish off, because I know we got people on Zoom as well.
second one on the lotto list.
Again, yeah, and they should be going in during reasonable hours, which is 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. But again, if they want to come in on a Saturday at 8 a.m., they really should be communicating with you first. Okay. One thing I do want to let you guys know as well too, as far as us, Albany Housing is their own landlord, and they also have their own system. So, you know, of course, if you are having any Albany housing concerns, I'm gonna highly suggest that you contact your office, your caseworker, and definitely inform them. Albany Housing is its own entity versus us within the city, but of course, we're always here to help and just, you know, point you into the right direction as far as Albany housing, but. Again, none of this applies. The landlord can come in, of course, if it's an emergency situation such as a gas leak, a fire, or a busted pipe. Okay, anything like
Yeah,
that, they
that's
definitely
common
gotta come in.
sense then, you know?
Oh, yeah, we know that one, yeah.
Yes.
So I had my landlord, it was one of those holidays that I was able to stay home. I went out for lunch. Then I get a text saying, oh, here, we're coming today. And I said, sure, what time? He already came and just sent the text after. So I don't know if there's something, I mean, it happened a couple months ago. I have it via
Did we
text.
So you have it,
Yes.
just hold it in case if you need to, you know, do anything towards your landlord, which I think you did. I think that would be definitely part of documentation, that just proves that.
Okay.
Because technically this is your, they have to notify you before they come into that apartment. Regardless of what, they gotta notify you. Again, if you see any problems like that, then you should know that maybe, you know, that landlord is something that might just be another red flag.
That's, he sent me this. See this?
10.
He said he screenshotted to let me know he was coming to my apartment.
Oh, I'm gonna have to see that at the
I
end.
never received it. Then he put up here, or maybe I didn't, it didn't go through. No, it didn't.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after.
Yeah, and that's when I screenshotted everything that I said,
Yeah.
everything he said.
10, fees. Fees as far as if your rent is late. Again, your landlord can not only charge you fees after the rent is late by the 5th day, you have at least 5 days to pay the rent. Your landlord cannot charge you any fees that are not explained in the lease that you both have signed. And then, of course, the landlords are only allowed to charge late fees up to $50 or at least 5% of your monthly rent.
At least.
So for example, if your rent was $500, which this, I don't think anyone right now is paying $500. The most that you can, your landlord can charge you is $25. I'm gonna skip all the way down to the most reasonable ones, which is 8, 9, and 1,000
Yeah,
and
mine
more.
is 8.
The most should just be at least $50. Okay, that's for a late fee.
I don't have a lease.
We gonna talk about that in the next one too.
So I don't need a lease. I ain't got a lease.
Additional fees. Additional fees such as like the application fee, that should be no more than $20. Someone should not be charging you $120 for an application fee. It should really just be 20. And a landlord cannot collect the fee until they have given the potential tenant a copy of their background or criminal or credit check, along with a receipt or invoice from the company that's conducting the screening. That fee can be waived if you do your own background check and your own credit check.
Right.
If you have done that already, you can give that, and that's the documentation that you can present.
But how do you go about doing that though?
There's
What-
different ways, there's different apps. I think Credit Karma might be able to do stuff. The background checks, I mean, I can definitely get that information out if you need that, but there's a way. There's a way.
Well, there's a way.
The information that they can ask right now is your age, your income, your social security number, how many people is gonna live in the unit, your employment, references, credit score, criminal
bothers me.
history. I know it bothers a lot.
It bothers me. You know why? We're in America.
Mm.
Okay? United States do not care about United States people. Now you can't live in, me, her, and somebody else cannot live in the house because they have to have documentation.
For everything.
But foreigners can come, 10 can be in a household.
Yeah.
It ain't nothing said.
Well,
Not even 10, it'd be about 50 of
I
them.
know it because I'm seeing it. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And nothing's said.
yeah, but
Why is that?
because 9 times out of 10, it could be a lot of reasons to that. And in reality, it depends. Every
Yeah.
situation is different.
It's not that I'm holding a grudge against them because I love everybody.
get it.
but
I
it's
get
just
it.
Treat everybody like you want to be
Right.
treated. That's all.
Again, that gets into discrimination as well.
It
So
is.
like, we
Yeah.
want to make sure that,
Because these farmers could come here.
well, I wouldn't know about that. No.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What the law says.
Yeah.
That landlords check this. This is contract law and that's what they're wanting to do
Yeah.
is create a contract. That's what the.
And they
that's
should
what
be
we
doing it The
With
policy should be
everybody.
equally.
Okay, but if you
equally.
got,
If
okay.
they don't do it,
Say,
I
okay,
can't answer why they're not following.
what I'm saying, say,
But that,
me and you get an apartment. I put my name on the list,
Yeah.
I'm the head of the household. And then, here come,
yeah, I think.
hey, yo, come on.
Yeah.
You got an apartment for us.
Yeah.
Everybody,
So this
everybody,
is- this is
sister,
what-
brother,
this is
cousin,
what this
uncle, all
came-
move in one
This
apartment.
is what the law is. We're just sharing what.
Yeah, we're
the-
just saying you're right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, they
100%.
can ask for all this stuff.
They don't act, but they don't.
They can't, but when I'm hearing now some applications, they are asking for all this, you do have to provide that. That is, their right. The same way that they are trying to find, just trying to see if you are the right tenant, is the same way I'm gonna tell you to do the same thing as far as your research, as far as that landlord. This is why I say stress to read your lease, this is why you wanna look at those red signs. Research before you move into somewhere. This is why, because this is gonna save you the less trouble down the road.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this was very important for me to stress to everyone. I think because of just our storm that we just recently had, renters insurance is very important. What is rental insurance? Rental insurance is a policy includes for many types of coverage that may help protection if you for unexpected things such as like a natural disaster, theft, property damage, and more. There's different types of coverage. There's a personal property one, which it covers all the things in your apartment.
Yeah, that's.
As far as your furniture, your TVs, your clothes. There's a family liability protection. God forbid if you have to pay any legal, any medical bills for someone else within the household. And then there's the additional living expense, which I frequently run into. Let's say if there's a fire or your home is now unsafe, unfit. This right here, having the rental insurance is what's gonna be able to pay for your hotel, your car rental, and basically hold you until you are able to go back into that apartment once
That's right.
it's newly done.
But you know what? A good example. Let me tell you, I got a car, right? I pay car insurance, right? My car insurance gave me house insurance. So if anything happens to my house.
Yeah.
Because every car insurance people is different. Y'all need to, whoever's driving, y'all need to look into that.
I've been
Because
having
they
rentals
could-
insurance for years.
Yeah. No, what I do want to say is, this is
Yeah,
exactly,
'cause mine is great.
this is exactly it. It does not cost that much to have rental insurance.
Right?
It's
Less than
fees.
$15.
Yes, and then,
$20.
it
Yeah.
costs as much as probably even cheaper than your movie subscription right now. It's cheaper
Yeah.
than Netflix. Netflix right now is $24. You can even possibly get rental insurance less than that.
Yeah, I got
Okay.
mine for 20. They put
Mine
$20.
just went
Again,
to $14.
Yes. Right, again,
Mine's
and it
not
covers a
20.
lot, and it
Yeah.
probably does cover a lot.
I
There
get
might be terms.
cars, car rental, I get
Yeah,
all of that with my
yeah.
thing.
Yes,
If my house burned down.
Good to have.
and I will also too say, don't also read that insurance too, because there's different lines. Like it says personal items. I think you can get like $500,000. A
Mhm.
frequent
Well, they had me
question.
to go down a list.
Yeah.
And give them a value of everything in my
Right.
house.
How it usually goes is if any time that you buy something for your apartment, let's say like a fan, some curtains,
Put that
some new
on.
furniture, you will want to save those receipts, and the
Yeah.
receipts is what's gonna, God forbid, if anything does happen,
You get
those
burned out,
receipts
you ain't
is
got no receipts
what's
when
gonna
they
prove
burn
as
out.
far as your things. Another way, I think another way mine's what they make me do is they make me take pictures too of everything that I do it on the app. But it's still very important for you to have, I think, on both parties, just the landlord and you. The storm right now is a good example. I mean, the trees coming down. A lot of roofs have been leaking, or
That's
it's
right.
power. This rental insurance is what's gonna cover
I
it.
know, I feel sorry for my neighbor because this tree was humongous.
Yeah.
And it fell over on his shed. I said,
Um,
oh my God.
That's his
Yeah.
homeowner's insurance.
Yeah.
And he
Um,
said, he said, but no, it's not him. It's the tree from the other yard, other man.
You
Fell
got
on his house.
I needed anyone.
And I don't think nobody's in the house.
Oh, gosh.
What I'm gonna talk about is just our upcoming housing series. So of course, this is our first one, starting this month, but now monthly, we'll be having different ones on different topics that we think, people should know. Next month is gonna be a tenant and landlord responsibilities with code, so we will have our code enforcement with us. So if you're interested, that presentation will be more, pictures and just responsibilities, like you'll be seeing what you're responsible for and what the landlords are responsible for. In August, we gonna do the legal representation and eviction help, and that's gonna be with legal aid. So legal aid will definitely be here to talk about just the legal stuff for you. So any legal questions as far as court or anything, how that might look, definitely come out to that one. That'll be at the library. Then in September, we have a mental health and disability rights with housing. If you do have a mental health diagnosis, there are many more opportunities that you can get as far as your housing just by having that, or just knowing more but just about your rights when it comes to your mental health.
Okay.
And then in October, we are we might be pairing up, well, we are pairing up with In Our Own Voices, United Tenants, and us to speak about
because
domestic
I have
violence
A
in housing.
customer of mine is in with United Tenants, so I called her
Yes.
and let her know what's going on. She's the one that told me, screenshot it, everything. Anytime you talk to some screen.
This is the point where we have questions. So if anyone on Zoom have questions, you guys can definitely ask them now. Does anyone have a question? This is our information, this is our contact information. You can definitely reach out to us. Yep. Check.